Hello everyone. So in this video lecture we will be starting with our 12th class organic chemistry. So the first chapter will be your isomerism. So in isomerism as well we have already studied and discussed this in standard 11. So let's discuss in detail one by one. Isomerism. So first I'll be giving you a quick recap, a quick review of entire things which we have already discussed in standard 11, because see, everything which we have discussed already and whatever I'll be teaching, the new topics, everything is covered in your standard 12. Means all the chapters of organic chemistry including every functional groups, aldehyde, ketone, carboxylic acid, amines, amides, ether, thioether, alcohol, phenol, haloalkanes, haloarenes. In entire all these topics we will be having entire isomerism concept over there in different variety of questions. Okay, so we need to learn everything in detail. So let's begin with isomerism. What is isomerism actually? Isomerism means two words, iso plus meros, different parts. Okay, so iso is for same and meros is for parts. So there are some similarities in two different compounds but some dissimilarities as well. So if we define isomerism, a phenomena called isomerism where different compounds having similar molecular formula but different properties. The different properties may be chemical properties or physical properties or both, but having same molecular formula. Now if we say same molecular formula, then general formula will be same. Okay, then empirical formula will be also same. So such compounds are called isomers. So isomerism is divided into two parts, two categories. First one is structural isomerism and second one is stereoisomerism. See, structural isomerism is a part of standard 11. So I'll just give you a quick recap. We won't discuss it in detail. Stereoisomerism we'll be studying here in detail. Okay. So what we have studied already, structural isomerism. See, structural isomerism is otherwise called as constitutional isomerism. Okay, and stereoisomerism is also called as space isomerism. Now you need to understand that whatever the name is, that will be different. Means when you say structural isomerism, means there will be change in the structure, means there will be change in the connectivity of the atoms. Means one atom is connected with carbon and thus in another structure the atom is connected with oxygen. So similarly there will be change in the structure due to connectivity of atoms. Okay, so structural isomerism as discussed earlier, it may be chain isomerism, it may be position isomerism, it may be functional isomerism or functional group isomerism, it may be ring chain isomerism, it may be metamerism, and last tautomerism. Okay, so structural isomerism was classified into all these 6 types. First is chain isomerism, then position isomerism, functional isomerism, ring chain, metamerism, tautomerism. I'll be just giving a quick review. Chain isomerism means there will be change in the different chains. Means the principal carbon chain or parent carbon chain in two different compounds will be different. Remaining molecular formula will be same. So if the parent carbon chain or principal carbon chain is different, it will be called as chain isomerism. Clear? Means suppose you are having butane, 4 carbon chain. Okay, C1, C2, C3, C4, 4 carbon chain, it is simply butane. But when you say isobutane, it means 2-methyl propane. So you are having 3 carbon chain in principal carbon chain. That will be your simply chain isomerism. When you say position isomerism, it simply means there will be change in the position. Now, position of what? 3 types. Change in the position of either substituents, either functional group, or position of pi bonds. Okay, so if you say position isomerism, it means simply there will be change in the position of substituents, functional group, or pi bonds. For an example, if you say butane 1-ol and you say butane 2-ol, that is simply position isomerism. Suppose if you say but 1-in and but 2-in, it is simply position isomerism. If you simply say 2-methyl pentane, or if you say 3-methyl pentane, again change in position of substituent, so it is position isomerism. Next come to functional isomerism. When you say functional isomerism, there will be change in the functional group. Now, what are the possibilities? I'll be giving you some few examples like primary amine, secondary amine, and tertiary amine. All these are functional isomers of each other. Condition applied if they have same molecular formula. So if they have same molecular formula, but if the nitrogen is connected with 1 carbon, it will be primary. If nitrogen is connected with 2 carbon atoms, it will be secondary. And if nitrogen is connected with 3 carbon atoms, it will be tertiary. So compounds having amine as a functional group and it is primary, secondary, or tertiary, then it is considered as functional groups. Okay, so keep it in mind. It is one of the most important point. Sometimes students miss this concept that primary, secondary, and tertiary amine having same molecular formula are functional isomers. Okay, other examples include, just like you can say aldehyde and ketone. You may say one compound is ketone and another one is there is pi bond as well as alcoholic part, or you may say one is carboxylic acid and another is ester. Okay, you may say there is alcohol and ether. You may say thioalcohol and thioether. So all these were examples of functional isomerism, right? Next come to ring chain isomerism. Ring chain isomerism is simply all about, if suppose you say one compound is ring and the other compound is chain, then you say it is having ring chain isomerism. Okay, we have already discussed several examples of this thing. Simply if you say butene and cyclobutane, butene means 4 carbon, C4H8 alkene, C4H8 butene, it may be 1 butene or 2 butene. And then you say cyclobutane means there is a ring. So in both cases, degree of unsaturation or double bond equivalent is 1. There may be one ring or there may be one pi bond. In both the cases, it is considered as ring chain isomerism because one of the compound will be chain, open chain compound, acyclic compound, and the other one will be ring or cyclic compound. Next, we have discussed metamerism. So metamerism was all about if the compound is having bivalent or polyvalent radicals, just like you say oxygen. Oxygen can form 2 bonds. Suppose one bond this side and one bond this side. Okay, so if you are having, for an example, there is an oxygen, this side will be ethyl and this side will be ethyl. So simply what you will say, it is diethyl ether. But when you say one carbon of this side will shift towards this side, so this side will be propyl and this side will be methyl. Now this is ether, but it is having methyl propyl ether. So there is a change in this side as well as this side. When you have change in both the sides of the bivalent radical, then it is coming under metamerism. For an example, oxygen, you have ether, then sulfur, thioether, then you have ketone, C double bond O, bivalent, carbon can make 2 more bonds, C double bond O, then 2 more bonds. Then you have thioketone, C double bond S. Then you have ester, C double bond O, both are free, right? Then you have amines, nitrogen is having 3 bonds, you can make 2 or 3 different. Okay, so all these are cases of metamerism. Next was about tautomerism. So in tautomerism, tautomerism is also called as desmotropism. It may be considered as catanotropy or aninotropy. If cation is migrating, then it will be catanotropy. If anion is migrating within the molecule, then it will be aninotropy, right? Then we have discussed various types of tautomerism, like there were ketoenol tautomerism, there was enamine tautomerism, there was a nitro-acynitro tautomerism, there was amide-imidol tautomerism. So all these were the cases, right? So this was all about structural isomerism, where we discussed about difference in the structure, and that difference arises due to the connectivity of atoms. Okay, if in one compound carbon is connected with different carbon, and in another compound carbon is connected with oxygen rather than carbon, so there is a difference in connectivity between the atoms, so there arises structural isomerism. So as the name says, that will be different. Chain isomerism, chain different. Position isomerism, position different. Functional group isomerism, functional group will be different. Ring chain, one will be ring, one will be chain. Metamerism, bivalent groups, both side will be different. Tautomerism, it is a special case of tautomerism. Tautomerism is a special case of functional isomerism only, because when we say amine enamine, or when you say ketoenol, obviously one is ketone or aldehyde, another one is enol, means alcohol, so obviously there is a difference in functional groups, so it is a special case of functional isomerism only. Okay, so this was all about your structural isomerism. Now let's come to our stereoisomerism or space isomerism. Okay, now what is this? First of all, when you say stereoisomerism or space isomerism, it simply means the structural formula of the compound structure must be same. Okay, the connectivity of atoms will be always similar. So what is the difference? The difference will be the arrangement or orientation of different atoms or groups in the compound will be different in space. Spatial arrangement of atoms in space will be different. Now what does it mean? It simply means, suppose you are saying that there is a carbon atom, and through which one group is connected towards this side in space in 3 dimension. Now in another structure, suppose it is connected not in this side but in this side. So simply the compound is same, atom is same, bond is same, everything is same, but in space the orientation, one time this side, one time this side, so that sort of spatial arrangement is different, then you consider it as stereoisomerism. So the first condition for stereoisomerism is it must be having similar structure. Okay, so structure must be same. Second, structure is same means what? If it is isomerism, molecular formula same, empirical formula same. If molecular formula same means their molecular formula mass will be same, empirical formula mass will be same, their general formula will also be same. Okay, so now come to different types of stereoisomerism. Now it is divided into 2 different categories. Okay, one is conformational isomerism, another is configurational isomerism. So stereoisomerism is further divided into 2 categories: conformational isomerism, configurational isomerism. Conformer, configuration. Okay, now coming to configurational isomerism, it is further subdivided into 2 categories. One is geometrical isomerism, that is your cis trans. You have heard about cis trans, cis to butene, trans to butene. So geometrical isomerism may be further said as it may be cis trans form, it may be EZ form, or it may be syn anti form. Okay, now configuration, another type will be optical isomers, optical isomerism. Okay, now configuration into geometrical, optical, geometrical, cis trans, syn anti, Ez, optical into further different categories. We'll be discussing about enantiomers, diastereomers, and all these things. Okay, now conformers may be rotational conformers, that is also called rotamers, and non-rotational. Okay, so we'll be discussing these things in detail now. So now we are starting with conformational isomerism. Okay, so what is conformational isomerism? See, first thing is, it is not true isomer. What do you mean by that? Not true isomer means, for an example, if you say CH4, CH3D, CH2D2, CH3, so in all these four cases you can understand it is hydrogen, 4 hydrogen. Here it is 3 hydrogen and 1 deuterium. Similarly 2 hydrogen, 2 deuterium. So in place of hydrogen you replaced it by deuterium. So it is simply change in isotope. So this is simply considered as isotopic isomerism. When one atom or group is replaced by its isotope, then it is simply isotopic isomerism. Clear? So in isotopic isomerism, it is not a case of true isomerism. So similar is conformational isomerism. It is also not a type of true isomers. What do you mean by true isomers? True isomers are which can be separated. Okay, so conformational isomerism, conformers or conformational isomers cannot be separated because they are not real, they are virtual actually. Okay, so why conformational isomerism is studied? So one of the main reason is conformers arises due to simply rotation of bond across sigma bonds. Okay, due to rotation of atoms or groups across sigma bonds. Clear? So what happens through that? So in various chemical reactions, due to different conformer of the same compound, the product formed may be different. Why? Due to arrangement of atoms or groups in different sites in both the conformers due to rotation across sigma bond. Clear? For an example, when you say gulab jamun, you know gulab jamun, when you say it is neither having gulab nor having jamun, but still you say gulab jamun. It is a sweet actually. Your jamun is your fruit, while your gulab is your its flower. But still you say it is neither having gulab nor jamun. Still you say gulab jamun. Similarly, when you say conformer or conformational isomers, it is not true isomer, but it is studied in detail. So you have to remember this also, isotopic isomerism. They are not true isomers. Keep this thing in mind, okay, this terminology. Now I use the term rotation, bond rotation. Okay, so understand first thing, here carbon is having this sigma bond, and through this sigma bond rotation is possible. Okay, so in such cases we study conformers. Now here also bond rotation is possible, but due to pi bond it is having restricted rotation. You cannot rotate this bond, so through this you cannot study. Okay, similarly in case of ring, there are restricted rotation. You cannot say that this bond will rotate. Okay, so you cannot rotate a particular bond in a ring. So in ring also you have restricted rotation. So in case of sigma bonds, now also sigma bonds, in which cases we are generally going to study about conformers. In cases of C single bond C, C single bond O, C single bond N, N single bond N. Okay, so all these cases will be studied in detail in conformers. So let's start. For understanding conformational isomerism or conformers, first we need to understand different projection formula. What do you mean by projection formula? It simply means how you will project or represent different atoms and groups in a compound in particular 3 dimension. Okay, so we have different styles through which we represent this. So first category comes wedge dash formula. Okay, now what do you mean by wedge dash formula? You simply understand this carbon atom is having, suppose I'm taking different groups. Okay, suppose this is having hydrogen here, any group X here. Okay, now this is deuterium and this is tritium. Now you can simply observe here, this is wedge form, okay, and it is dash form. So what it actually represents, if you will consider this board or this plane as your reference plane, okay, as a plane, then this carbon, hydrogen and X, these 3 groups are in the plane, okay, where you are observing. Now this T, it is above the plane. Now what do you mean by above the plane? Means towards you, towards the observer. This is above the plane and this one below the plane of observer. Okay, means as per you below the plane, or you can say backside of the board. Means in this plane, this carbon, hydrogen and X is in the plane. This part is in the plane itself, this part is towards you and this part is away from you, means backside. Okay, so now simply you can consider, if I cut this molecule in the plane, then you can understand this carbon, X and H will be simply divided 50-50 in that side, backside and front side. But this tritium, this T will be completely front side and this D is totally backside. Okay, so now you clearly understand this wedge dash. This is your dash and this is your wedge. Okay, so this is one type of projection formula, wedge dash formula. Next, second, Fisher projection formula. Now in case of Fisher projection formula, suppose you say H, D, T, X. Okay, X is any group or you can say halogen. So this is your horizontal line and this is your vertical line. Okay, so when you draw with respect to this vertical line and horizontal line, this is called as Fisher projection. Now in 3-dimensional analysis, what does this Fisher projection represent? So here it represents, this is your carbon and this tritium and this deuterium, D and T, is towards the observer. Okay, in 3 dimension, see carbon, this carbon is sp3, so it is having tetrahedral geometry. Okay, so if you will observe in 3 dimension, then it is like simply one carbon is having one is side, one this side, one this side and one this side. So you can understand as 2 V-shaped and both are different sides. So these 2 are towards the observer and these 2 are away from the observer. Okay, so horizontal line represents wedge form towards the observer above the plane and vertical line represents dash form, means below the plane or away from the observer. Okay, so I think second part is also clear to you, Fisher projection. Remember this thing. For an example, I am giving you, if you have to draw Fisher form of CH3, OH, H, CH2, CH3. Now simply you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbon chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is simply butane 2-ol. This is your carbon through which you have done Fischer projection. Okay. So next part. Sohor's projection. Now what is this Sohor's projection? Simply you understand that one carbon which is having 4 bonds. So simply one CH3 is represented in this way. Okay. This is the representation of CH3. Now you understand this is carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. This is the represent of CH3. Now this carbon will connect with another carbon and that carbon also will be in this format. So simply I have to draw, suppose methane, I am telling ethane. Okay, CH3, single bond CH3. So how will you draw Sohor's projection of ethane? Just like this. So one CH3 represented in this form. So simply I am telling you can see here, okay, H, H, H. You can simply understand it as Y-shaped. Okay, so this is your Sohor's projection. Here, bond rotation is possible. So keeping this as it is and rotating this to 180 degree. So if one bond is this side, so this bond will go towards that side, and simply it may be observed as okay. So here you can see this is in 2 different forms. Okay, so this hydrogen and this hydrogen is anti to each other now in this structure. Okay, this hydrogen and this hydrogen anti to each other. This hydrogen and this hydrogen is anti to each other in this structure. But in this structure, if you will see, this bond and this bond is having strain. Why strain? Because these two are in front of each other. So due to this electronic repulsion of these bonds, there is a repulsion. Okay, that is called torsional strain. Clear? Strain. What do you mean by strain now? Strain simply means discomfort in the molecule or some sort of stress. Just like we say I am stressed, means some sort of discomfort I am having. Similarly, this molecule is having some sort of discomfort or stress. Why? Due to these two bonds are parallel or just in front of each other, so that electron pair of this bond and this bond have some sort of repulsion. Okay, so when you say torsional strain, now I am using some terms. Torsional strain simply means the repulsion of the bonds having 2 electrons, means that inter-electronic repulsion between 2 bonds. Okay, that will be your torsional strain. Okay, so this is simply your Sohor's projection. Clear? Simply you have to draw one carbon and whatever you have groups like this and that connectivity. Simply remember this Y-shaped. Okay, now next. Fourth category, and this is Newman projection formula. Now you need to understand this as a most important topic, because entire conformation isomerism is based on Newman projection formula. Okay, so here suppose I am again telling one CH3 is represented in this format. This is one CH3, this carbon, hydrogen, 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 and another CH3 is represented as this format, H, H, H. Now this circle, this is a carbon having 3 hydrogen bonds. This is also CH3. Okay, so now here you try to understand this Y-shaped CH3, and this is also CH3. So now what happens in Newman projection formula? Just pick up it and put it above it. What I am telling, if you pick up this part, okay, and just keep it here, so what you are representing, that this carbon is a back carbon, backside carbon, okay, and now you picked up and put up here, so this back carbon is making a single bond here with this front carbon, okay. This carbon is having 3 bonds already, carbon hydrogen bonds, and this is having sigma bond here with this front carbon, and this is also having 3 another bonds. Simply, if I'll represent this in proper Newman projection, here I told, firstly you draw backside as it is. Now you can see here, this is back carbon, okay, this is a carbon having 3, and now I am telling you just pick up this part, okay, I just pick up and I just put it here. Okay, now you can simply understand that this is your front carbon and this is your back carbon, okay. So what it represents is Newman projection. So in this Newman projection, you are having 2 carbon atoms. Now you have to draw different structures and so many structures, okay. So understand again, you have to draw simply one this type back carbon and this is front carbon. Now again, it is your way, you may take it as back carbon and front carbon, that is not an issue, okay. So here in this structure, this is a carbon having 3 hydrogen bonds, and this carbon is bonded with this backside carbon, which is again bonded with these 3 hydrogen atoms, okay, clear. So this is simply a structure of, you can say, this carbon having 3 hydrogen, and this is connected with back carbon, okay, that is having 3 hydrogen. Though simply this is a structure of ethane, clear. Now I think we have already discussed all 4 categories: Wedge-Dash projection, Fisher projection, then Sauer's projection and Newman projection. Now let's draw different structures using Newman projection, right? Now see, CH3 single bond CH3, this is simply ethane, and this bond, through this bond you can rotate it. So through this you can draw different conformers in Newman projection formula, okay. So generally conformers are drawn in Newman projection. So now see, simply you have to draw. Now I'll be making it fast a bit, you can just understand. Simply I'm making this one carbon, and this carbon is having 3 hydrogen atoms. And now again, suppose this is your front and back carbon. So this is your front, this is your back carbon. Now listen to me carefully. In this compound, what do you mean by rotation, free rotation, and what do you mean by conformers? Suppose if I keep this part, front part, as it is, and if I rotate the backside part, first case, or again if I keep the back part as it is and I rotate the front part in different angles, so you will be getting different structures. Suppose I am trying just one more structure, keeping front part as it is, okay, this front part as it is. Here what I have done, I have made front part as it is, but I have made a rotation of back part to 60 degree. So when back part is rotated 60 degree, you can understand before this and okay. So in this case you can understand that this carbon hydrogen bond, and this carbon hydrogen bond is just, this is carbon hydrogen bond, and in front of it, it is carbon hydrogen bond. Okay, so again you can use here the term torsional strain is there. First point, torsional strain. So few terminologies I am using here. So what do you mean by torsional strain? Torsional strain arises in a compound due to electronic repulsion of two bonds having 2 electrons each in front of each other. Okay, so if this bond and this bond is front of each other, parallel to each other, so you can simply understand they will be having torsional strain. Okay, so what do you mean? Here they are not parallel to each other or in front of each other, so it is not having any sort of torsional strain. So the strain here is very less, but here it is maximum. Clear? First point. Second term, van der Waals strain. Now what is this? Van der Waals strain is a type of strain which arises due to different atoms or groups which are in front of each other. So now you can understand this front carbon, it is having hydrogen like this, and in front of that back carbon, it is having hydrogen like this. So this hydrogen here, this hydrogen here, and this hydrogen here, that must be having some sort of repulsion among each other. So the repulsion between atoms or groups, or between atom and a group, that is simply your van der Waals strain. Now what is actually van der Waals strain? It comes through van der Waal. Already you have discussed van der Waal radius, van der Waal forces of attraction. Similarly, this particular atom must be having some van der Waal radius and space it carries, and another atom. So if they have inter-electronic repulsion between atoms, okay, so in between two atoms, one atom, one group, or one group and another group, that will be simply your van der Waals strain. Third, dihedral angle. Now what is dihedral angle? So for that, first understand what is bond angle. Now what is bond angle? Bond angle simply means the angle which is made in between two bonds. Simply, suppose if you say this bond and this bond having a common atom, this one, and this angle is simply your bond angle. Okay, but when you say dihedral angle, it simply means the angle between this bond of front carbon hydrogen and this bond back carbon and hydrogen, which are parallel to each other. As such, if you see, the dihedral angle between these two bonds is 0 degree. Okay, because they are just parallel to each other. But if you see the dihedral angle here in between these two, it is actually 60 degree. Is it clear? So I told you about bond angle as well as dihedral angle. Now again, I am describing you two different terms. When front carbon, this CH bond, and this back carbon, this CH bond, they are just parallel to each other. Okay, one is front side, one is back side, just in front of each other. In such a case, the structure is called as eclipsed structure. Okay, this is eclipsed. Now what is this called? This is called staggered structure. Clear? So when this is front and back, it is eclipsed, and when they are far apart, just you can say 60 degree, then that is staggered structure. Now you can simply understand, just by keeping the front carbon as it is and rotating the back part to 60 degree, I gained this one. So again rotating 60 degree, again 60 degree, again 60 degree. So for a particular compound, if it is having free rotation through which you can draw conformers, so you can draw infinite number of conformers. Okay, so that is why, suppose in a question, if you are asked for a particular compound, how many conformers are drawn? So infinite conformers are drawn. Suppose you are asked, find the total number of all isomers for this compound, then you have to consider all structural isomers, all geometrical isomers, all optical isomers, but you have not to count any of the conformers because they are not true as such. Okay, they can be seen, but they cannot be separated because they are interconvertible into each other. And the rotational energy barrier, suppose you have rotated this molecule into this molecule, so there must be some interconversion energy barrier, means some energy must be applied or required to convert one form into another form. Or if it is more stable, it is less stable, energy is required. Similarly, less stable towards more stable, the energy must be released. So that energy, interconversion energy, is very small. That difference is very small. So that's why what happens, this conversion goes side by side. Okay, so they keeps on converting into one another. So I think through this ethane, I have made you to understand eclipsed form, staggered form, this torsional stain, van der Waals stain, dihedral stain, bond angle stain. One more thing, see, for observation, what we say, due to hydrogen, the torsional stain is very less, or you can say negligible. Okay, but when you have bulky groups just like CH3, halogens, or all other groups, for hydrogen only it is very less or negligible. Okay, so let's understand from another example of propane. CH3, CH2, CH3. Suppose if I am telling in this compound, this is your front carbon and this is your back carbon. Okay, front carbon and back carbon, and I am telling you draw conformers of propane across C1, C2. As per the naming, this is 1, 2, 3. So this is propane. As per the numbering, you have been asked to draw conformer across C1, C2. The question says like C1, C2. Means this is C1, this is C2 as per nomenclature. So draw the conformer. You can simply, what you can do, just this is front, draw like this simply, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. Front carbon is having 3 hydrogen. Now back carbon is having 2 hydrogen and 1 CH3. Simply I am telling, suppose now you can see here, this back carbon is having 2 hydrogen and 1 CH3, 2 hydrogen and 1 CH3. Now simply you can say which is the structure, whether this is eclipsed or whether it is staggered. Simply you can say these two are parallel, back side of each other. This is front, this is back. So this is your eclipsed form. Next part, dihedral angle between these two, CH and C, CH3, that is 0 degree. This CH and this CH, it is 0 degree. So dihedral angle 0 degree. Next, it is having torsional stain. Yes, it is having torsional stain because this carbon is, back carbon is having CH3 bond and this front is CH. So this CH3 must be having tetrahedral geometry of that hydrogen and this hydrogen. So it must be having some sort of torsional stain. Next part, van der Waals stain. Obviously this hydrogen and it is a group. So atom and group must be having some sort of van der Waals stain as well. Okay, clear. So rotation of this compound 260 degree. What you will get? Now again what I am doing, I am keeping the front carbon as it is. Now you can see this on rotation 260 degree. This will come this side, this will come this side, this will come this side. So here the groups after rotation. Okay, so this is simply your staggered form. Dihedral angle here 60 degree between this one and this one. Okay, or between this one and this one, means this atom of this front carbon and this atom of this back carbon. That's what I'm telling, right? I'm not telling this bond angle, that will be your this carbon hydrogen, this carbon hydrogen, that will be your bond angle. But this group and this one, it is between this bond of front and this bond of back, that is called dihedral angle 60 degree. Simply clear. Now again, if you rotate this compound again 260 degree, you will get here Now one of the question must be in your mind that, sir, can we rotate it to 30 degree, 40 degree, 50 degree? Obviously you can rotate. That's why we told no. For infinite number of rotations of different angles theta, you have different conformers. So you have infinite number of conformers. Now one more term used is skew conformers. Skew conformers. Skew conformers are all those conformers which can be drawn in between dihedral angle 0 to dihedral angle 180 degree. So in between 0 degree and 180 degree, all the conformers obtained are called as skew conformers. Okay, so I think this part is your clear. So last I'll be discussing about conformer of butane. So for today's lecture, that will be your last part. So let's draw conformer of butane. Okay, CS3, CS2, CS2, CS3. So in this compound, if you have to draw, the question arises whether I have to draw through C1, C2, C2, C3, because this is your numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if you are told about C1, C2, it simply means across C1, C2, what you will do? You can simply say this front carbon is having 3 hydrogen and this is having 2 hydrogen, suppose, and this is your ethyl. So this is your CH2, CH3. That is your staggered form. If you will rotate, you will get eclipsed form, right? Simply on rotation you can get suppose you will be keeping front carbon as it is. Suppose again, every time I am keeping front carbon as it is, but you can keep back carbon as it is. It is your wish. 60 degree rotation this side. So that will come this side, HH. This will go hydrogen. This is your ethyl, HH. So this was all about rotation across C1, C2, right? This is your staggered, this is your eclipsed. Now come to rotation across C1, C2. Sorry, C2, C3. This is your butane, C2, C3 rotation I am telling. So here this carbon is having 1 CH3 and 2 hydrogens. So suppose this is CH3, hydrogen, hydrogen. Again this carbon is having CH3, hydrogen, hydrogen. Now this is your CH3, hydrogen, hydrogen. Now in this case you have to observe everything in detail, okay, because the most important question which is arised in most of the examinations is all about butane, right? So in this butane, firstly you have to understand this is having eclipsed structure, right? It is eclipsed. Second thing, it is having very high torsional strain due to this carbon CH3 and this carbon CH3 bonds, which is in eclipsed form, okay. Third thing, it is having huge or maximum van der Waals strain. Why? Due to this CH3 group and this CH3 group. Next point, here dihedral angle between this carbon CH3 and carbon CH3, this CH3 group and this CH3 group is 0 degree. Dihedral angle 0 degree. Now if we rotate it, keeping front carbon again same, and if I rotate back carbon 60 degree clockwise this side, what you get? CH3, H, H. This is CH3, H, H. Now what you are observing here is this CH3 came this side. So here it is your staggered form. So now I am introducing a few new terminologies here. Okay. So this is your eclipsed. This is your staggered. Now rotate it again to 60 degree. What you will get? This CH3 comes this side, this hydrogen comes this side, this hydrogen comes this side. Front part will be same as it is, CH3HH. So here again you got eclipsed. Okay, now if you rotate it again 60 degree, what you will get? Now you are getting this structure. Again you can rotate 60 degree. Okay, so now I actually want to explain all these 4 different categories. Again it is with respect to this CH3 dihedral angle was here 0 degree. CH3 dihedral angle was 60 degree. With respect to CH3 here dihedral angle was 120 degree, and now here dihedral angle is 180 degree, because you can see this CH3 bond here and this CH3 bond here, and this structure is again your staggered form. Okay, so now what is the difference between this staggered and this staggered? Simply you understand, here in this staggered form dihedral angle 60, here 180. Second thing, here they are in nearby form, and here they are anti to each other. What do you mean by anti to each other? Front carbon, see this is suppose your front carbon and it is having CH3 here. So in backside CH3 is this side, so one is this side and one is this side, anti to each other. Okay, so I am introducing new terms. Such staggered is called partially staggered, or you tell it as gauge form. Okay, such eclipsed form is called fully eclipsed. This eclipsed form, CH3 is here and this CH3 is here, so this is called partially eclipsed form. And here such a staggered form is called as fully staggered form. Okay, so I think all the terminologies are clear to you and you have understand everything. So I wish that you must repeat it once again, draw all the structures, because if you will not draw all the structures, you will not be able to understand and solve the problems. Okay, so draw it, make proper notes, and we will continue the topic, same topic in our next lecture. Okay.